What's up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Let's continue our conversation about free will, focusing on Sam Harris and the nonsense that comes out of his mouth. If you like the kind of work that I do here, do consider supporting my demonetized channel. I appreciate that. Anyway, Sam Harris, someone let me know in the comments to my previous video, so thank you, to check out Sam Harris on the Lex Fridman show. So I did. And the part that we're concerned with starts about an hour in, 51 minutes, 36 seconds. And he starts talking about free will. So let's just jump right into it.
And this is like around 1915 or so.
Turns out you were right. I'm going to ask you about free will.
Oh, okay.
You've recently released
You got really uncomfortable there, huh? Uh-oh. I don't know if Sam Harris believes the bullshit that he spews, if he's a huckster, or if he's just an imbecile. I mean, clearly, is it clear? Is it not clear? He seems intelligent. He has a pretty high verbal IQ, I guess. He's somewhat eloquent when he speaks. He's maybe mastered, certain tricks of debating, right? He has a very dry sense of humor. Blah, 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 right? There's something there that could appeal to people. Okay. But is he really intelligent? Or how intelligent is he? And if you're saying he is, then he must be a huckster, in my opinion.
an episode of your podcast, Making Sense. For those,
Right? His podcast is called Making Sense. The guy doesn't make any sense. But he has to, as if he had to prime you with this, what you're about to hear is gonna make sense. It's as if he knew it wasn't going to. But, because I say so. And this is the thing with Sam Harris. I don't really see him making any arguments. It's mostly just because I say so. And if there seems to be an argument somewhere, the premise is just absurd. At least one of them.
with a shorter attention span, basically summarizing your position on free will. I think it was under an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
It was brief and clear. So allow me to summarize the summary, TLDR, and maybe...
I didn't watch the podcast. And sorry to be pausing so much. Maybe I could skirt copyright this way. I don't know. Lex is probably not that concerned, right? No publicity is bad publicity. But, if it took him an hour and a half to make his case for free will, you could talk about whatever you want for hours. I certainly could. But it just seems like Harris just goes on these long monologues and just gets further and further away from the point and just confuses. And the more he talks, the less things make sense, right? Now, if communication is key, shouldn't you make the complex simple? The complicated simpler, less complicated? You could get to the point quickly, hopefully, and then you could expound on it and take however much time you need. But can you make your point, right, quickly? I'm not necessarily asking for a formal syllogism, but what is the argument here? This is my problem with Sam Harris. It's just he goes on these diatribes, these word salads. It kind of makes sense, but not at all, really. Listen up.
You tell me where I'm wrong. So free will is an illusion, and even the experience of free will is an illusion. We don't even experience it. Where am I?
Is that what he said, really? We don't experience free will? It's one of the most intuitive experiences that we have. It's like hunger. We know, we believe we have free will, right?
Am I good in my summary?
Yeah, I mean, this is a line that
right? Why would they try so hard, some people, to convince us we don't have this thing? Because the basic assumption is that we do. We all feel like we do. And these people have to jump through hoops and talk all kinds of crazy nonsense in an attempt to convince people they don't have free will, right?
it's a little hard to scan for people. I say that it's not merely.
This is gonna be very difficult to understand. Like he knows that this is. It's as if he knew that what he's about to say is absolute bullshit.
That free will is an illusion. The illusion of free will is an illusion.
He's got this smirk on his face, like he thinks he's saying something smart, or he's just. Is it what is that called? Duping delight or something like that, right? It's like I'm gonna con you right now. The illusion of free will is an illusion. That doesn't make any sense. You tell me what that means, right? I guess he'll try to explain, but to say that an illusion of something, right? Well, what's an illusion? It's you're perceiving something that's not there. Like your senses are wrong about something out there, be it a concept or an object, like a mirage in the desert, right? It's an illusion. The oasis isn't there, right? So if we just use not there, right, or is not there in place of illusion, what is he saying? Free will is an illusion. The illusion of free will is an illusion. So free will not being there is not there, right? Double negative. So free will is there. Free will exists. Is that what he's saying? Well, no. That's not what he believes. So he can't be saying that, right? Is it just a basic tautology, like a cat is a cat, right? Free will is an illusion. The illusion of free will is an illusion. Yeah, no shit, buddy. Is that what he's saying? Well, that wouldn't make any sense. Well, it makes sense, but it's, a tautology. It's repetitive. What's the point of saying that, right? But he's saying no. It's not really an illusion. If I'm getting this correctly, right? If there is even a way to get this correctly, what he's saying is that the illusion of free will is an illusion. It's like we exist in two different dimensions at the same time. I don't know how to explain this. There's like parallel realities or one reality on top of another reality. Can you give us an example, right? And this is the sort of standard of proof that atheists have when talking about God, right? Debating God. Because you're claiming something supernatural, they want you to show them that it's even possible that something supernatural exists, right? When like the whole debate, you're trying to show them that something, get them to, well, not really, but demonstrate that it's reasonable to believe, let's be precise with our words, concept, it's reasonable to believe that a supernatural exists, right? There's evidence of a supernatural, and they're saying, well, yeah, but can you prove there is a supernatural? It's like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm trying. This is the evidence. Yeah, but do you have any evidence? Yeah, this is the evidence. Yeah, but you have any evidence? This is, right? Debating an atheist is futile.
Right, like there is no illusion of free will.
Okay, so it's a double negative. So there is no illusion of free will. So free will is, right? We do have free will. Like, what is he saying? But back to my point of like, layered realities or parallel universes that, we live in. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Like, can you have an illusion that you're having an illusion, right? This just, it doesn't make any sense. It's not anything you could justify. I don't think. How do you justify? Does it exist? Can you have a mirage of a mirage? And what would that be?
And that is unlike many other illusions, that's a more...
So it's a different type of illusion. Why is it so difficult to get this out? Hasn't he spent time thinking about this? Didn't he just... I guess that's why it took him an hour to explain it? Does he even know what he's saying? Like, dude, just explain it. Why is it so difficult to get this shit out? And why isn't it making any sense, Sam?
fundamental claim. It's not that it's wrong. It's not even wrong. I mean, that was I think Wolfgang Pauli who.
It's not that it's wrong. It's not even wrong. This guy just like created an alternate universe where the laws of logic don't exist. And is that what you have to do to make it make sense to yourself? It's not, what does that mean? It's not even wrong. It seems to me like he's just laughing at the laws of logic. Either something is or it isn't, right? What's the third option? The third option is it's not even wrong. It's not even isn't. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. I mean, you tell me. Maybe I'm just too dumb to get this.
Derided one of his colleagues or enemies with that.
So he's using some guy's joke or quip, right? It's just like a joke. It doesn't really mean anything. Maybe that's why we laugh at it, because it just doesn't make any sense. Someone said that you're so wrong, you're not even wrong. It's like there's another level. Like there's something worse than being wrong. Like there's another level somewhere. Like how?
Aspersion about his theory in quantum mechanics.
Oh, he just said quantum mechanics, so it must be right? Science! I am right because science! It's not an argument.
So there are things that there are genuine illusions. There are things that you do experience, and then you can kind of punch through that experience, or you can't actually experience. You can't experience them any other way. It's just we just know it's not a veridical experience. You just take like a visual illusion.
Okay, so we know illusions exist, and we've proved that because we could show that, well, this thing that you think exists isn't really so, or this thing that you think exists in a certain way isn't really so. There are tests where we could verify that, okay.
There are visual illusions that, so a lot of these come to me on Twitter these days. There's these amazing visual illusions where, like, every figure in this GIF seems to be moving, but nothing, in fact, is moving. You can just, like, put a ruler on your screen and nothing's moving. Some of those illusions you can't see any other way. I mean, they're hacked.
We've all seen these things, like how many sticks are there, or one of them things.
Aspects of the visual system that are just eminently hackable, and you have to use a ruler to convince yourself that.
Right, we're not perfect. We're finite, imperfect beings.
The thing isn't actually moving. Now, there are other visual illusions where you're taken in by it at first, but if you pay more attention, you can actually see that it's not there, right? Or it's not how it first seemed. Like the Necker cube is a good example of that. Like the Necker cube is just that schematic of a transparent cube, which pops out one way or the other. One face can pop out and the other face can pop out. But you can actually just see it as flat with no pop out, which is a more veridical way of looking at it. So there are kind of inward correlates to this, and I would say that the sense of self,
Why is this so hard to get out? Right? Can you get to the point, bro?
Self and free will are closely related. I mean, I often describe them as two.
Is that one of his techniques, right? Just to ramble? Take his time, be all calm about it. Is that what appeals to a lot of people? Oh, wow, this guy's a deep thinker. Is he just, it takes him so long to make his point, yet at the same time, it seems like he's moving away from the point. What's the point?
The same coin, but they're not quite the same in their spuriousness. I mean, so the sense of self is something that people, I think, do experience, right? It's not a very clear experience, but it's not, I wouldn't call the illusion of self an illusion, but the illusion of free will is an illusion.
I wouldn't call the illusion of self an illusion, okay? This, once again, he's violating the law of non-contradiction. He does this all the time. There was a debate where he said that morality is relative, subjective, and then at the same time, 5 or 10 or 20 minutes later, he said morals are universal. There was another debate where he said that math is subjective. Now, that doesn't necessarily violate the principle of non-contradiction, but I mean, I'm sure there are other debates where he said math is what it is, right? It's objective. Or other podcasts. The guy just constantly violates the laws of logic. Like, what kind of a philosopher is he?
Illusion in that as you pay more attention to your experience, you begin to see that it's totally compatible with an absence of free will. You don't, I mean, coming back to the...
Your experience is totally compatible with the absence of free will, right? Okay, how so?
Place we started, you don't know what you're going to think next. You don't know what...
So what? Like, okay, you don't know what you're going to think next. All right, that's a premise. Assuming we accept it, what's the next premise? Maybe you need a few more premises and then give us a conclusion. Just saying that you don't know what you're going to think next. Really? I can't make myself think whatever I want? This is, I think, the problem here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to explain it, but has to do with the fact that we live in the now. We don't live in the future, right? Our thinking process is something that happens all the time, now, in the present, right? There is no future. There is no past. I don't know what I'm going to think next. I mean, sometimes, but it feels like sometimes I do. I can make myself think about, I mean, if I'm, even right now, as I'm doing this, or if I'm reading a book, I'm thinking about that which I'm reading. I know what I'm going to think about what it is that I'm reading, what it is that I'm experiencing, right? Just because I don't control what I experience, I can't control the world around me, everything around me, right? Whatever happens because of all these other external factors, well, that's what I'm going to be thinking about. So yeah, I know what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about the world around me, but because I don't control the world around me, I think this just became clear to me as I thought about it right here, right now. Because I can't control the world around me and everything that's happening around me, right? And my thoughts are a reaction to that. I observe the world, I hear it, I smell it, and I think about that. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be thinking about next unless I put myself in a very controlled situation where I do control everything, right? As much as possible anyway. I have a pretty good idea that what I'm going to be thinking about. Where I go with that, the thinking process is a process. Say I put some kind of noise canceling headphones on, I do whatever I can to minimize stimuli coming from the external world, and maybe I just read a book. It's likely that I'm going to be just thinking about that. But then, if I'm like hungry or something, or whatever, something's bothering me, I had a bad dream, or like these other thoughts will sneak in. Perhaps if the book is a little bit boring or I'm not understanding something, like that doesn't mean that thoughts just happen, right? We react to the world around us. If I could control everything, then I would know what I think about, but I'm not in control of everything, obviously. We're finite beings. We're not perfect. So to say that like we don't know what we're going to think about, well, it's true in most cases, but not always. Make yourself think about something right now. Can you do it? Of course you can. Think about whatever you want. Think about what it is that you're going to think about after you think it. Why can't I think? Let's say I'm thinking out loud right now. I'm going to think about grass, and then I think about grass. Right? Just because a lot of thoughts are influenced by the world around us that we do not control, that doesn't mean we don't control any of them. And ultimately, we're still choosing what to think about. Because there's all kinds of stimuli from outside. Say you're sitting in class, your teacher's talking to you, and the assumption is that you're going to think about what the teacher is saying. But then you take a look outside, see how sunny it is. Maybe there's, some people outside throwing a frisbee around. You're choosing what to think about. But simply because we don't control everything, because we're not God, then that means it's like you're either a slave, right, or you're God. And there's like nothing in between, Sam Harris.
You're going to intend next. You don't know what's going to just occur to you that you must do next. You don't know how much you are going to feel the behavioral imperative to act on that thought.
You can't predict the future, right? That means you have no free will, because these are completely different concepts, right? He equivocates being able to predict the future versus having free will, with having free will.
But if you suddenly feel, oh, I don't need to do that, I can do that tomorrow, you don't know where that comes from. You didn't know that was going to arise. You didn't know that was going to be compelling. All of this is compatible with some evil genius in the next room just typing in code.
Right? So there's some kind of an evil genius. Why is he evil, first and foremost? How do you even justify him being evil? Let's not even get into that conversation. What do you mean by evil? And how, on your worldview, can you even say that that's evil? Right? Evil genius in another room typing. Did that just occur to you, that thought? It came out of nowhere, right? He says thoughts come out of nowhere. Well, then they're not really valid, are they? This is how you destroy reason. If you tell me that we have no free will, this thought just came out of nowhere, Sam Harris. Why should we listen to it? It's some evil genius put that thought in your head. You're invalidating yourself. Like these guys are incoherent. But suppose our experience of the world is compatible with some evil genius in another room, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. I already explained what it's compatible with. It makes perfect sense. Maybe not perfect, but it makes sense, I would think. You tell me where I went wrong. But he has an alternate hypothesis. Okay, that's fine. An evil genius in another room programming you with these thoughts. Okay, but why does that guy have free will to be able to do that? What? And if he does have free will and people don't, then it's not a human being. It's like he's describing God, right? Our experience of this reality is compatible with some kind of an idea, some kind of a supreme higher power, right? I'm not saying that this gets us to God exactly, but he's moving in that direction, right? But when you look at this world around you and you see that things are designed, right? What is your hand designed to do? Well, maybe punch, maybe grab things, right? Maybe help you climb stuff, so on and so forth, right? It clearly it has a purpose. Is it not okay to say it was designed with that purpose in mind? And you look at the world around you, so on and so forth, right? The argument from design for God. So that's a plausible hypothesis, right? Did all these wonderful books, if we take nature to be a book, right? Did this wonderful book just write itself? It came out of nowhere, like your thoughts? Or did someone write this book? Right? But if you say that to him, he rejects that. Like, this is so hypocritical. Even though I'm still waiting for a better argument. No one's been able to provide a better argument. The design hypothesis, right? Whoever designed it, okay, let's leave that alone for now. But the design hypothesis, looking at the universe, makes a lot more sense than it just happened for no reason on its own, right? All of this, something from nothing, order out of chaos, right? It makes a lot more sense to say that a mind took these floating around, whatever, unorganized particles and arranged them into something, rather than those particles arrange themselves. Right? On the materialist, as I explained in another video, on the materialist worldview, it doesn't make any sense. There had to have been a mind, immaterial mind, right? Because matter was nothing at all. There was matter, but it wasn't really anything recognizable. So there couldn't have been a physical being with a mind arranging things. It had to have been an immaterial mind, if we assume this worldview or this genesis of the universe. So it makes a lot more sense that there was a mind, right? And then you look at the universe and it looks designed. That's everything that we observe about this universe, ourselves, and according to scientists, is compatible with the hypothesis that there's a creator, right? But he won't accept that. And yet he'll accept this completely ridiculous, less plausible, as I already explained, hypothesis that there's some puppet master somewhere pulling strings, which doesn't make any sense. Because, well, how come that person, thing, how come that has free will? Where did it get the free will from? Where did that person's or things or gods, right? I mean, if it's a god, okay. Cool, Sam Harris. You're not really an atheist. But, like, where did that being's thoughts come from, right? It must be supreme to us. It must be better in some way. Some evil puppet master. Like, where is this puppet master? Can you point to it, Sam Harris? Can you give us scientific, like, this is what they want when you talk about immaterial God, right? You don't believe in immaterial things, Sam. I don't think he does. Or definitely not immaterial beings, i.e. God. So point me to this physical being that's doing this. You should be able to demonstrate it, right? Where is it?
Into your experience, just like this. Okay, let's give him the, oh my God, I just forgot it was going to be our anniversary in 1 week thought, right? Give him the cascade of fear. Give him this brilliant idea for the thing he can buy that's going to take him no time at all, and this overpowering sense of relief. All of our experience is compatible with the script already being written, right? And I'm not saying this
script already being written. Okay, well then you should be able to predict it, right? How do you know it's written? Well, first he says it comes out of nowhere. Our thoughts come out of nowhere, and the script is already written. Well, that sounds like a contradiction. If it's already written, then it's not coming out of nowhere. Which is it?
Script is written. I'm not saying that fatalism is. all of our experience is compatible with the script already being written, right? And I'm not saying the script is written. I'm not.
Okay, so it's not written. So the whole thing of evil genius somewhere, that's not really what it is, right? He just debunked himself, didn't he? He's like, oh, it's this thing, but I'm not saying it's this thing. I'm saying this, but then I'm not saying this. It's an illusion that's not an illusion, right? You can't choose what you choose. The guy is fucking incoherent. Where's the argument here? What is he saying?
Saying that fatalism is the right way to look at this, but we just don't have.
He can't even bring himself to make eye contact because I think he understands on some level just how bullshit it is. The things that he's saying are.
Even our most deliberate voluntary action, where we go back and forth between two options.
Deliberate voluntary action when we go back and forth, right? Let's listen to this again.
The right way to look at this, but we just don't have even our most deliberate voluntary action, where we go back and forth.
Our most deliberate voluntary action. That sounds like free will, Sam.
Between two options.
Where we go back and forth between two options, right? This is reason. The process of reasoning.
Thinking about the reason for A and then reconsidering and going.
Right? He tells you right there, reason.
Thinking harder about B and just going eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Right? He just contradicted himself. Again, this guy is so incoherent. So he refutes everything he says. He then just goes on to refute it, right? He said we reason, we consider between two different choices using reason. And then he says all that is eeny, meeny, miny, mo, right? That's what reason is. Reason is just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Reason is not reason. First, he seems to suggest reasoning exists, and then he says it's just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Like, dude, make up your mind. What is your argument here? What is it that he's not saying anything? It's gobbledygook.
Till the end of the hour, however laborious you can make it, there is a utter mystery at your back, finally promoting the thought or intention or ration.
There's an utter mystery promoting, like, this guy is, there seems to be something inside all of us that recognizes a supreme being, a creator, an infinite mind, a puppet master, right? We all seem to innately have this yearning for God, right? That's a pretty good argument for God, I would think. Even atheists. That's why people say, like, atheists are really religious. When you really break down what it is that they're saying, they might have a different God than the God of Christianity or Islam or whatever, right? Okay. Yeah, but it's just another God.
Rationale that is most compelling and therefore deliberate, behaviorally, or rationale that is most at your back, finally promoting the thought or intention or rationale.
Right? Intention, rationale.
That is most compelling and therefore deliberate.
Deliberate. He catches himself. I'm not making any sense. Let me backtrack. Right? Rationale, deliberate. You are doing this, blah, blah, blah. You have rationale. You're deliberate in your actions. You have reason. Oh, oops. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Behaviorally effective. And
behaviorally effective. What does that mean? What is he saying? You just happen to work in some way? It's just like, because to me it seemed like he was talking about reason or rationality and it being deliberate and yours, and now he seems to be saying it's just an illusion because it's just behaviorally, like it's like you're guessing, or it doesn't make any sense. It's a fucking word salad, man. And I'm sorry if sometimes I sound confused. It's because I am.
I mean, this can drive some people a little crazy. So
There you go. There you go. He knows he's not making any fucking sense. This drives people crazy because I tell them that reality is such, and then I take that away and I say, no, it's actually the other way. Constant contradiction.
I usually preface what I say about free will with the caveat that if thinking about your mind.
So he started talking about, this is a perfect example of what's going on here, right? He jumped right into defining and explaining why we don't have free will, right? He's been doing it for what? 6 minutes or so? And then he says, I usually preface. So instead of getting us to some point, not only is he going back to the beginning, he's going back to prefacing. Like he's going back to before he even begins. So he said all this shit already, right? Polluted your mind with all this fucking bullshit. Instead of getting you to some point, he's going to backtrack to the beginning, or even before he's going to preface the beginning. Instead of getting you somewhere where you're finally like, oh yeah, oh, I think I get it, right? He says, oh, I know this is so frustrating. Oh, it's so difficult. And then he just like, I don't know if it's because he invalidated everything he said. He's like, okay, let me start over again. I don't really get this shit myself. So it's so deceptive what he does. And maybe he's deceived himself because he lacks God. This guy lacks God. As Braxton Hunter from Trinity Radio says, he's a lactheist, right? We were supposed to get somewhere, Sam. You spent all this time polluting our minds with bullshit just to be like, okay, let's go back, not just to the beginning, but before the beginning, and let's start. We're gonna start over now. Let's see.
And this way makes you feel terrible. Well, then stop. Get off the ride.
If what I'm saying makes you feel terrible, well then just stop and get off the ride, right? He just said you have free will. You could just jump off this fucking train that's headed nowhere. A train to nowhere. What other brilliant things does he have to say?
Switch the channel. You don't have to go down this path.
Right, switch the channel. You don't have to go down this path. That's free will, right? Can you make your own decisions and choices? Can you choose between certain things? He said, it's just an illusion. You can't really do that, but just if you don't like what I'm saying, then do that. What?
But for me and for many other people, it's incredibly freeing to recognize this about the mind, because
recognize what? He said absolutely nothing. He just contradicted himself like 4 or 5 times. He said absolutely nothing, and he says it's incredibly freeing. I know it's frustrating for most people. They just don't understand this. But once you get this, it's incredibly freeing. I mean, I guess in a sense it is freeing. If you don't have to follow the laws of logic, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say, right? I guess in that sense it's kind of freeing. You're not constricted by the laws of logic. It's incredibly freeing. Fuck this guy, man. Look at the comments. best conversation I've heard involving Sam Harris in years. Oh shit, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to start my housekeeping. Never stopped questioning the meaning of life quicker than when I saw this pop up in my recommended. I absolutely love how Sam always goes for hours and hours and hours. Been waiting for this. Less than 10 seconds into the conversation. Where do thoughts come from? This should be good. God damn it. How am I supposed to focus? Like, it's just fanboying. I've never waited so long. Wow, 2 of my favorite podcast hosts in one video. Sam is an outstanding thinker. I am sure that this will be a great discussion. Like, people aren't even listening. They're just like, oh my God, Sam Harris. Type. I love you. Look at Sam Harris, guys. Never clicked a podcast so fast. I've been eagerly awaiting this conversation. The rush of excitement of this episode is the equivalent of your favorite artist releasing an album or mixtape in the science world. Evening is saved. I literally cannot wait to watch this. It's the same NPC bullshit, right? No one's engaging in any of the arguments. It's just like, oh my God, Sam Harris, he's so cute. That's literally what they're saying. Oh my God, I'm so hyped. People are just like, they just see Sam Harris and Lex Fridman together, and they get a hard on, and then they just, well, you know, they just, it doesn't take a lot. They're quick comers, right? This was intensely captivating. Like, the guy just strung you along. He took you for a ride. I could maybe see how, like, doing some acid or getting really, really high and just listening to words could be... It's like staring at a wall, right? Oh, this is so captivating. Yep, the next 3 hours are going to be fantastic. It's the same comment over and over and over. These people are spellbound, right? This dude is literally... He's a magician. He just casts spells. He grabs hold of young, in my opinion, toxic minds and just takes them on this fucking ride to nowhere. Literally nihilism. This gets you nowhere. No one's engaging in these arguments. No one's saying, Sam, what do you mean an illusion is an illusion, right? Or the illusion of free will is an illusion. What do you mean by that? Because I already got into explain why I have a problem with people saying that. Oh, look, someone addressed me because I engaged in the debate. Can anyone pinpoint to this no free will argument? All I heard was a bunch of irrelevant and unsupported assertions about thoughts and consciousness. Oh, yeah, a bot. Thanks for watching. I have something real big I would love to introduce you to. I have a feeling I know what that's going to be if I text really big. It's just the fucking hard-on. It's the hard-on that not everyone, a lot of people get for this huckster, Sam Harris, who just talks in fucking circles, contradicts himself all the goddamn time, never makes a single argument, and just asserts things without any evidence. He just asserts things. And he proves to be a complete hypocrite. Because when someone is making an argument for God, using some of the same methods that he uses, except when they do that it actually makes sense. It's more plausible than the alternative, right? He takes the less plausible conclusion to get you to a God that he wants to get you to, right? An evil God. That's literally what he's taking you. Toward an evil God that's basically controlling you. You're helpless, just submit. Submit. You're a slave. God is evil. I mean, how did I get this wrong? What did I get wrong? How is Sam Harris any sort of a great thinker? What did I not understand? You guys let me know, but this is gobbledygook, man. This is nonsense. This is it's really, really bad. All right? Thanks for watching.